क्या हार में क्या जीत में, किंचित नहीं भयभीत में, कर्तव्य पथ पर जो भी मिला, यह भी सही वह भी सही, वरदान नहीं मांगूंगा, कुछ भी हो पर हार नहीं मानूंगा. So I moved to Delhi and joined Nirvana coaching, and I think that's where my journey really changed. The kind of homely atmosphere I got and the kind of friends and bonds I made there, I think that completely changed my outlook towards UPSC preparation. And what I say that, it opens your world to different horizons and all those things, they came from there, right? There are so many coaching institutes which are there, and but I'll give it to Gil sir, who was my mentor, and he is the director of that coaching institute, and he has been a huge support behind what I was able to achieve in my final attempt. Although I always used to have doubts, but he was like, तुम यहाँ तक आए हो despite everything, and you are able to do so much. Why do you think on those lines? And if you have such a person in your journey, it just gives you a lot more confidence to do well. And that coaching also helped me in finding a good scribe, and writing mocks, proper mocks for mains exam. And that was the time when I appeared for these mains this time around. I felt this time that I'll be able to make it. Like I had an inclination from inside, and in the first two attempts which was not there, like I sort of knew from inside that it has not been my 100%. But in the third attempt I knew from inside कि कहीं ना कहीं ये वाला मेंस मैंने अच्छे से दिया है. I have given my 100%. Although UPSC is such a exam that you don't know, right? Civil services ऐसा एग्जाम है कि आपको नहीं पता है, आपने 100% भी दिया होगा पर आपको नहीं पता चलेगा कि आपका होगा कि नहीं होगा. But I sort of had an inkling कि नहीं, इस बार निकल जाएगा. But then the next stage, I mean, interview or the personality test that UPSC calls it, people are really scared of, and I was also like, I had given many interviews, be it in college or I was in ONGC as well in my final attempt. After I gave my final mains, I joined ONGC in Vadodara. So I was working as assistant legal advisor there. So I had given a lot of interviews. That was not something of an issue. But then the kind of stories you have heard, and there are so many things about UPSC interview, the panels and things like those. So it's a scary thing. And people say you have to look at the reactions and all those things. That again becomes a challenge for us, because you cannot look at what is the reaction of the opposite side, right? You cannot look at how the panel is reacting to your answers. So that was again a huge challenge. And I still remember vividly, my first mock was such a shocker for me. Like, I mean, there was a question of asking what is the full form of 5G, and I couldn't answer that. Like, and it's not because I didn't know, right? I mean, so I still remember that was the time I was like, what is happening? What is wrong with me? And again, like my mentor Gil sir really helped me out there, and I appeared for a lot of mocks. Like I think I gave 10 to 12 mocks within a period of 20-25 days. Because I'll tell you, it depends from person to person. Some people like giving more mocks, some people really don't like it, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt, that nobody can replicate what the civil services panel will be able to ask you, right? But it still prepares you for the kind of things you will be experiencing, right? So, but if the feedback affects you drastically, then appearing for a lot of mocks can be a disadvantage. But for me, one of the things which worked in my favor was I used to just take the mock, take the feedback, whatever I could include in my next mock, that well and good. I can improve in my personality, well and good. I used to forget whatever worst experience I had, right? I used to start afresh, and that's, I think, what helped me in getting through the interview. I had my panel was of Sujata Mehta madam, and she's generally considered a difficult board to face. So not in the sense that you will get difficult questions, or you will be bombarded with a lot of counterjections, but generally because you are not able to know whether your interview went well or not, right? So that was the case with me as well. But I sort of had a feeling that it went on the lines I expected it to be. I had a few questions from my law background. I had a few questions from current affairs at that point of time. So that sort of, I had a feeling that, of course, my mains had went well, and I sort of had an expectation that I might get through this time. But you always are really, really scared, and I think that whole week before the result came out was such a mentally disturbing week, because you couldn't sleep properly, you couldn't do any work, or I was still in ONGC in Vadodara, and my mom was staying with me, but it was one of the challenging periods of this journey. और ये सबके साथ होता है. It's not something which is special in my case. It's very, very common. और I think I still recollect it was 5th April, और 6 बजे का टाइम था. हम लोग को लगा आज भी नहीं आएगा रिजल्ट, एंड it was a Friday. So we were like कि नहीं अब तो अब ये मंडे को ही आएगा रिजल्ट. So yeah, and we were just simply having a cup of tea and just talking about things, and life was going normally. And at around 7 in the evening, I was like, result aa gaya, I can't find it. And there were a couple of other calls, and I was just like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I was totally taken aback. So I was just not expecting it, since I was expecting कि अब तो result नहीं आएगा आज. And then I was like, no, give me the list. And list भी कहीं से आया, because on Telegram and all those things it came early. And I was still not sure, like I wanted to see it. So I went to the UPSC site and downloaded it. And when जब अपने आंखों से देख लिया कि उस लिस्ट में वो वहाँ पे नाम है, I think that was when it all sunk in, basically. And I mean, at that point of time, that night, I really don't know what really happened after that. Like, I can recollect, like I was just on calls the whole night, and like it was since and one of the things which I regret that day was my father was at home, and my sister as well, and me and my mom were in Vadodara. So कहीं ना कहीं जो एक दूरी थी वो हम लोगों के बीच में, that was something which I still regret. And but I know from inside that it was one of the best days of my life, because at the end of the day, whatever struggle you had gone through and whatever you had dreamt of came really true. And post that, there had been a lot of calls, I had given a lot of interviews, and things changed. And you have people saying कि नहीं ये तो कर ही लेगा, we knew it. And yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say for them, but I mean, आप कुछ भी कहिए, आप कितने भी talented हैं, आपके पास कितना भी caliber है, this exam is such, it tests your inner strength, and it is something that you need to have. You have to go into the last corners of your inner strength to come out with flying colors, right? Because post that, what happens is something which everybody remembers, but what an individual has to go through to achieve that, a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance, lot of commitment towards achieving that goal, that is something which you need to have to be able to crack this exam. And even though there were a lot of things like, कि people used to say, अरे reservation होता है, आपका तो आराम से निकल जाएगा. So I was like, dude, there is competition here as well. You are competing within your community, but it's simply given because you are faced with a limitation just to provide you with that reasonable accommodation, right? Just to provide you with an equal opportunity that our constitution gives us. It's nothing which is, कि आपको कोई charity हो रहा है या क्या है. So, considering those sort of things, now if I look at my journey as a whole, it was a very, very satisfying journey. Post that journey, there were a lot of accolades that came my way. There were different institutions who felicitated. But I still vividly recollect going back to my school, Nirmala Convent School, where I, grew up. I had my friends, I had my memories, and meeting those teachers, and being part of that morning assembly, and sitting there, and looking at students from that lens, right? And when we also used to be sitting on that other side and looking at people, and there were people who used to visit on Independence Day or morning assembly के लिए guests सब आते थे. And now coming back to your alma mater and experiencing that whole moment, I think that was, one of the most fulfilling experience that I had post getting through this exam. And that is basically my journey so far, and I still strive to achieve for better and whatever my dreams are, and work really hard for it. And from this platform, I would like to wish everyone all the best for their future. And I hope that people who are watching and who are aspirants, I see them as sharing their experiences as I am doing here on this platform of Officers on Duty. Thank you so much.